Hi gang, so here we are. We've got I've made some improvements to this. I just thought I'd do a video to kind of get everyone up to speed on the changes that I've made on the planning and tracking and attendance worksheet, right? Hopefully you've worked out all the gremlins. We should be pretty good. I went through and basically redid the whole thing based on the feedback that I got from everybody on what new elements should be added, and what I also did was extend it to a year-round cycle rather than just the winter, so you can track. This is more pertinent to the full-time U16 and older athletes, but we might find some uses as we push down on the younger athletes as well. But it gives you sort of some enhanced planning tools to make your planning easier and more integrated and relevant, and then also adding some more different metrics to track the kids in the sessions, dipping into strength and conditioning and maintenance stuff like that. So I'm gonna roll through this a little bit and show you the updates that I've done. So as you can see down in here, you've got your yearly planner. This is the first one. I have there's session type, there's comps, right? Slalom, GS, Super G downhill. This is for, again, your yearly plan. Super combined skill assessment, an eval, mid-season, end of season eval, holiday, rest, travel. So that's sort of a broader category as far as your anchor points in your season. Now, session type obviously is what you're going to do for that day. GS, slalom, Super G downhill, drill course, free ski, technical free ski, mental conditioning. I added some new features here: summer Super G, summer slalom, summer GS, summer free ski, and summer drill course. So as you start to build camp plans and things like that and look back on your whole season, these elements become an integrated part of it. I've also got agility, balance, coordination, so field exercise stuff, cardio, intensity interval training, which would be like CrossFit type workouts, strength, and then maintenance. Venues, we've got our usual suspects here, but I've also added air barn, gym, CrossFit, field, and hiking, running trail. So pretty simple. Time, early, AM, PM, late. I kept it as a general, but also giving you a way to organize your day. There's further details and planning that I'll show you further along, as you know if you've used this platform before. But this is the deal. Here's another little thing that I've changed. So as you go through here and you build your day, I'm just doing this randomly, but you can do, obviously there's up to 3 sessions per day. So I'm adding these in. And whatever combination is the right one for the daily soup goes in here. Of course, you can also do notes, okay, which is kind of nice. Now, you guys have been through this. This is macro type planning, right? Where I recommend you go in, you put in your competition dates, you put in all the days that aren't going to move around, and those become the elements that inspire the design, right, to prepare for those. The yearly, on this one too, as you see, I've got May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, and then back to May. So it's a 12-month cycle starting with May, which is what I consider to be sort of the beginning of the season. Okay. Now the yearly plan or summary, it takes all of those months and puts them into just a numerical sort of format, so you can go back and take this information, go back and start tweaking and iterating your plan, so it just gets a little bit better and more refined based on what you hope to accomplish and what your goals are for the season. You've got it broken down in a month, and then of course a season tally. You've got your comp list, your session type, your venues, and then roughly time of day. That's more for planning. So hopefully that you find that to be helpful, and you'll see how else. Now another improvement that I made was taking the yearly plan and driving it into the weekly planner. So here's an overall summary, okay, and we'll get into this, but it is a reflection of the work that you do at the weekly level. So this is, session type. You saw that: terrain, venues, volume, quality, number of runs, surface. Okay, that's what we're tracking in the back end for the coaches. So if you look at this, this is for the week of May 2nd to the 8th, and every week of the year has a separate planning framework. Some of these weeks are going to be really full, like in the competition season. Some of them are going to be pretty simple and easy and manageable, like in the off season. So if you notice on the yearly planner, I put in a couple of sessions on Monday, May 2nd. If you look here, what happens is it automatically populates into this week, into your week. And you may or may not follow this exactly, but the theory is, my thinking is that if you put it into your yearly plan, it auto-populates your weekly plan, you're probably more likely going to stay on target with regard to the overall. As we all know, things change, and sometimes things don't go according to plan, which is fine and expected. But nonetheless, this does sort of save a step where you can go back and say, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to stay on target. If not, you can obviously you can overwrite, all this stuff. Okay. Discipline drills. This is a simple little drop down from our technical handbook, so you can kind of put key focuses in here. Environment, what I call sort of set up, GS turn shape drills, angulation drills, phantom jumps, like more sort of where you're setting up a venue to address whatever session focus or goal you have. Notes on the day, session focus, etc. 3 sessions per day, every day of the year. As you go down here, so that's what you do beforehand, right? This is the planning work that goes in before the session. Here gives you, this is at the end of the day, May 2nd, right? Goes through, and you can actually track what you did. From downhill, drill courses, agility, balance, coordination, cardio. If you said, session type, agility, balance, coordination, and that's not terrain isn't relevant to the strength and conditioning, but venue is, because you can put in, airborne, for example, right? Volume, not relevant for the conditioning stuff, but for the ski stuff it is. Quality, certainly, you can certainly rate those sessions, okay? And then down here, this is more just totaling stuff, so you don't have to worry about this section too much. It's more about you at the end of the day going back through and just following a very simple and quick little drop-down review. Now, next step, as you know, is you go to your athlete. Scott McGrew, you've got 35 spots, so I've extended it from 30 to 35. If you have a bigger team than that, you might have to go a boys and a girls, what have you, but that should capture most everybody. On the snapshot, I've changed this as well, so you still have the basics, absent. If you populate training, it reflects the work that you did up top, right? Agility, balance, coordination. And if you had more than one session on that particular day, you can obviously do that as well. So let's just say cardio for the B session. And since this athlete was at training, they get populated into both of those sessions. Now, sometimes, an athlete doesn't make a second session but makes the first session, so you would just simply go here and then hit delete, and that session would be erased, right? So on this one, so you've got training, you've got rest, travel. These are all the elements that you're tracking at the individual level for every athlete. You've got competition slalom, GS, Super G downhill. You've got downhill training for the FIS kids, and then camp slalom, camp GS, camp Super G, camp downhill. If an athlete travels off to a regional camp and you're keeping track of their total numbers, which you should be doing, it gives you the ability to do that. Of course, you also have up here the ability to, do a full sort of camp, summer GS, summer slalom, like if you have a big group and you want to do a bulk planning sesh. Okay, and we can get into the nuances of this and how these improvements are integrated, but it should be fairly straightforward. So there you have it, right? So this athlete, you go through your list, right? Who was there, who was not there, and then you can address any other sort of nuances. This goes through the year, every month. Again, it gets auto-populated from the annual planner, and there's a lot of these. As you know, 52 of them, 52 of these tabs, one for every week of the year. And then, the final part is the report, right? And I updated this to everything cascades over from the work that you do. So being accurate, being on it, being consistent is a huge responsibility for the head coach, for the coach who's doing it. Again, you've got on this side over here, you have 52 of these things. Now, are you going to go back and reference each week? You could if you wanted, but what I've done is taken and consolidated each week into a monthly total. So you can use that for sort of broader brushstrokes than the week. And then, of course, you have the season summary. This gives a snapshot. Each one of these is a day, right? And each one of these is a session. So within the particular day, you could have multiple sessions. So this number here is going to be larger than this number here. Nonetheless, so at the end of this, you can say this number would indicate how many days, including rest and travel, etc., that you tracked for this athlete. How many training days did you get? How many competition days per discipline did you get? How many camp days? Injured days, race cancel days. So these are interesting things. This is a very basic, just a graphical representation of their season from a daily snapshot to a number of sessions. From this, we can tell a pretty compelling story, and we'll go in and as far as sharing information with coaches and parents, athletes, tracking, monitoring, goal setting, all of these things. This becomes your best friend unless you get lax and you start missing stuff, and then you really compromise its ability to help you as a coach be accountable and communicate clearly and tell the story of an athlete's season. So hopefully this all makes sense. We'll go into this more. As you can see, these athlete reports are broken down: athlete 1, 2, 3, 4, and those sync up with these rows. So you don't want to be mixing and matching. Once an athlete is designated athlete number 1, I spelled athlete wrong. Oh well. As soon as that athlete has been designated number 1, that athlete has to stay number 1 for the whole season, or else it's just going to get super messy. So I would go in, import your list, however you want to do it, alphabetically, what have you. If you have new athletes that add on later after you build your initial list, that's fine. They have to go here at the bottom, and you just need to remember it. But don't start mixing these things up, because it'll screw with the whole system. So anyhow, hopefully that makes sense as an update on what I've done. Based on feedback from everybody of what would be useful to track. This is just a list of everything that defines those drop-down menus. So again, I added summer stuff here to the session type, added strength and conditioning type exercises here, increased the venues to include air barn, gym, CrossFit, field, hiking trails, and then on the athlete snapshot, I included downhill training, camps, injured, and race cancel tab. So we can start looking at that stuff. Hope that makes sense, and good deal.